Hello and welcome to DKR Texas Memorial Stadium. He's Corey Mose, I'm Jeff Jones, and Corey, we're going to talk about this game that kind of the final score seems like it was a blowout, but it wasn't. Texas beat Mississippi State 35-13. But first, I want to talk about some interactions I had with some of the people at the stadium. That cool with you?
Yeah. I'm interested now. You got me locked in.
This game that was closer than many expected actually had a real impact on some of the people who work here at DKR. Okay. I talked to a security guard who told me she felt her blood pressure literally rising in the middle of the second quarter when it was just a 4-point Texas lead. And then after the game, I talked to a bartender.
Wait, is she okay?
The security guard?
Yeah.
She's going to be fine. She's going to be fine. Yeah.
Just had to clarify.
Thank you for checking on her. After the game, I talked to a bartender who told me that her tips were significantly less today than they were a week ago, and she thought it was because Texas fans had to pay attention to the game this week, whereas last week they knew it was a blowout and they could just hang out and stay hydrated. Yeah, so
that's crazy.
Real impacts to people here. It was a close game for a while, but the Longhorns eventually pulled away. How'd they make it happen?
Well, of course, Jeff, like you mentioned, it was a close game in that first half, right? The defense was able to step up, and funny enough, in our Friday football forecast, I mentioned at one point this defense is going to have to win a game for Texas in SEC play. And it looked like this was going to be the game in that first half, but instead, of course, the offense got it rolling. So let's look at some of the highlights from today. It's Arch making his second career start, while Quinn Ewers had on more ice than cube. First drive, the Horns were cruising. 5 plays is all it took as Manning finds fellow sophomore DeAndre Moore Jr. Now, he assumed he got into the end zone, but you know what they say about assumptions. No question if the ball crossed the goal line on this play, though. Jaden Blue puts the first points on the scoreboard from 1 yard out. 30 seconds left in the half now. Arch wanted more. DeAndre Moore, that is. This time he actually does reach the end zone after that 50-yard bomb. That made it 14-6 at halftime. Different quarter, same dominance by the UT defense. The newlywed, Vernon Broughton, isn't new to meeting at the quarterback. He adds a strip sack to his stat sheet, and then early in the fourth, mobile Manning made an appearance. Arch was pocket watching and took off once it collapsed. Looked like he was going out of bounds, but looks can be deceiving just like Arch's speed. Don't know how the refs ruled him down at the 1, though. Are you serious? Give him the TD. But Manning got in a couple plays later anyways. Now Texas tacks on one more. That's with 2 O's, by the way. UT wins their first SEC game in program history, improving to 5-0 on the season. And I feel like I said more about 4 or 5 times because DeAndre Moore Jr., shout out Pops, I got to say Jr.
Yeah.
Because of his performance, right? He balled out today.
Well, do you want to hear more about Moore?
I see what you did there.
Let's go ahead and do it. DeAndre Moore, as you said, he balled out today. It was a historic win for Texas, being their first SEC conference win. A historic day personally for DeAndre Moore. 4 receptions, 103 yards, and 2 touchdowns, 1 yard away from a 3rd touchdown. All that production comes from a guy who could barely practice on Thursday.
You know, Thursday's practice, I made him practice. I said, if you're going to play Saturday, I need you to practice Saturday. And this was Thursday's practice, and he was pretty gimpy.
You know, we took baby steps. You know, they knew that, you know, I had a hip pointer injury, and, you know, they were going to act accordingly. We did a really great job of nursing me back, and, you know, came out here and played.
And I just watched him long and hard in pregame. I thought, man, he's running great, and let's let him go.
Coach dialed some plays up, and, you know, I just wanted to go make a play for my team.
So the DeAndre Moore Jr. game, apparently number 0 has been unlocked. This Longhorns team looks like they have, 6 receivers who could easily go over 100 yards in any game.